guys, welcome back to another topic. In this topic, we'll be treating or looking into CSS font styling, that's CSS fonts. So, in this topic, we'll be looking into the font family, font style, font variant, font weight. That's the things, font size also. So we'll be looking into all this. The font family is used in changing the font type of your elements. Maybe you want to change it to Times New Roman, or Lucida Sans, or whatever font type that you want to set it to. You can use the property font CSS property fonts family for that. And within the font family, we have a generic family. A generic family is font types that looks similar. A group of font types that looks similar. So we will also be using it as a fallback in case if the font family that we'll be selecting does not the browser does not have the font family that was selected, so it can eventually fall back to whatever font that you've provided. So the second one will be font size. The font size will help us to resize will help us to increase the size of our elements. By default, the browser has 16 pixels as the size of a font. But to make our fonts to be more generic, and more versatile, in order to be able to be viewed in the browser, in the mobile phone, mobile view, and also in the browser, we'll be using EM instead of PX. So 16px is equal to 1 EM. So we also look into that. The font weight adds a bold text, make our text to be bold, and also the font. Okay, we'll all look into this here. CSS fonts. HTML. Now we're having a title, CSS fonts. Let's open up our internal style. The next 7, the H1 here, will help us. CSS font style. First of all, I want to add a body. Let's add a font family to our body. Then we can add for it to each element. We can then add up our own font family to it. So it's a good try. You can for the practice, you can use any font family that you want to apply to the body. So body, the font family CSS property we use here. So you can see these are the font family that I have installed on my system here. So Arial, trebuchets. Let me use gOZiechukwu. So you can see what I'm telling you. These are fonts now. This is the font family that I chose, and then these are fallbacks. And you can also note here that I have in quotation these and not this and this. So the reason is that whenever I have a font family that has more than one word, it should be enclosed in quotation marks, so that the browser doesn't skip it to be geo and then comma sans. So let's check that out in our browser, CSS fonts. Okay, so you can see we changed our font type to gOZiechukwu. That's our. Okay, so we also, this is the gOZiechukwu should be the default font for all the elements that will be coming here, except otherwise you give it another styling. So let's style our H1 to have a different font family. We'll be using a Lucida Sans here. Okay, Lucida Sans. And that's it. So our H1 will now have a Lucida Sans. In case the browser doesn't find the Lucida Sans, it will fall to Lucida Sans regular. And if the browser, if it doesn't see the Lucida Sans regular, it will fall back to this. So that's how it will move in. It checks all the font families fallback that we added here. So let's see that. Okay, so you can see it changed. Change here. Then let's add a p tag here to be able to see other things. Let's have a p to lorem. Let me bring this down. Oops. Let me bring this down. Down. Let's copy. I want to have it in 3 places. So let's give this a class of lucid. Let's not give it a lucid sans. Okay. Okay, I'll be coming, but let me give it a font family. Font fam p. Let's copy it into this. Then let's see. Let's style it and give it a different font family. Dot font fam p. Font family. Let me use the helper here. There's one that I chose before. HTML. Cambria. Let me use Cambria. Let me see what's happening here. Okay. I love this font color, but the font type here, but let me see if I can find another. You see that sense? This one I used before. Okay. Then I could remove this and give it another one. Let me use the gOZiechukwu. Vadana. Yeah. Okay. This is a typical H1. Yeah. So you can see these and these are being styled together with Lucida Sans. So let's add a font. Let's now look into the font styles. So we want to make our P to increase in size. Let's say we want fonts using the font size property, CSS font size property. So we can either make it larger, medium, but to be on a more safe side, use your own value. So 16 pixel is the default. So let me put it up here. 16 pixels is the default font size for all the browser. So, but to be in a safe side, in case whenever a viewer is viewing from a mobile view, to be able to view it from a mobile view, that it be able to resize, we'll be using instead of using a pixel, we'll be using EM. So EM will make it good for cross browsers and also mobile phone to desktop or tablets. So from W3C recommendations, they recommended the EM, so we'll be using EM here for our font size. And in calculation, 16 pixels is equal to 1 EM. So bear it in mind that whenever you want to add a font size, always run your calculation. So probably when we want to add a 42px, we'll be dividing it by 16 px in order to be able to get our EM here. So whenever we divide it by this, should be 16 by 16 should be 32, almost 3 point something EM. So let's change this font family. Okay, we've already given it font size of 16 pixel is the normal one. So let's take a look at it. This is the way it is. If I refresh, it still remains the same way. So let's increase it by giving it a 32. 32 pixels supposed to be by times 2 of the normal font size. Okay, so times 2 now. So let's, instead of using a px, we'll be using 2 EM here. So, and it still remains the same. I want to reduce it so that it won't take up much space, so I'll be using 1.2 EM. So remember, 1.2 EM is supposed to be near to 16 point something thereabouts. So, and that's about our font sizing. You can also change the font size of this. You can also change the font size. But let's continue. Then we also have a font styling, font style. We can be able to give it with font style, we can be able to make our elements or text to be in italic form or oblique or normal. Normal is the normal text without any change. So we'll be adding an italic type to this. You can see this is not even in italic, so let me refresh. You can see our text now is in italic format, italic fonts, or italic styling. So the next one we'll be looking into is the font weight. The font weight makes our text to be bolder. So you can see 100, 200, 300, 500 to 900. So 900 and bold is also the same. Okay, 900 should be more heavier than 700. So 700 is same as bold. And then we also have bolder, because if you want a lighter as well and normal. So we'll be using 900 in order to make the font weight this to be more bolder. So refresh, you can see it's now bold. You can equally use the bolder here, and also looking. So seems like the 900 has more weight than the bolder. Okay. So another one that we'll be styling the P, the last P here. Let's give it a class to be able to style that. Class small caps. I'll be using this to demonstrate how the font variant works. So small caps. Dot small caps. Font variant. Yeah. So the font variant is whenever you want to make your text to be in caps, but you also want to make the look to be more smaller. So you can use a font variant small caps, or normal is do not make any changes. So let's add a small caps here and take a look at what it have. So this is what we have here. Now if I refresh this page, whenever I refresh this page, we will have all this text here in caps, in capital letter, and the text will be smaller. So let me refresh. Okay, so we all have it in capital, and the text is now more smaller than before. So, and that's it. Here we looked into font style, the font variant, the font weight, and the font family. So always bear it in mind that you provide a fallback for the font family in case the browser doesn't find the font family. That's the first one, is the font family that you are adding, or that you are specifying. And then the font size, always remember to use EM in place of PX for your font text to be able to resize within mobile or desktop view. So guys, that's it. Thanks for watching.